There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in your ears. This is Offside Hockey Talk, brought to you by our friends at Boxing Rock Brewing Co. Check out their puck off Lauderdale. You may notice a very special guest here with us. It is the man, the myth, the legend that is Terry Koshan. He's joined us many, many times on the show. And what better way to kick off the Leafs going into round two? Yes, I said round two, than having him on to celebrate a little bit. Terry, how's it been for you the past, I'd say, 72 hours?
Well, it's been trying to remind myself what 2004 was like, right? So take ourselves back to the night of April 20th, 2004. And of course, that night we didn't know when the Leafs eliminated the Ottawa Senators that we would not be covering a second round for another 19 years. So it's been good. You know what? The nice thing it is, I think, from our end is, as I said to a few other people, you kind of get tired of writing the Leafs obit after one round.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. I mean, whether they win or lose in the end, that doesn't affect my daily life. But you want, like, I saw a lot of my friends and colleagues cover the Toronto Raptors run in 2019 and what that was like for them. And, you get into the grind, you're working every day and everything. And, I recall 2002 when the Leafs went to the conference final against Carolina before losing at home. And it was the same sort of thing going to the end of May. So, you want to get back into that. Like, we've been writing the Leafs obit last of April recently. I guess maybe some of these COVID years and a little bit of a different time, but always after the first round. And now that we're not doing that, good. And it's going to, once we do get to that, maybe it'll be after a cup final win, so it won't have to, but it's going to have a much different tone now. We're not going to be talking about Sheldon Keefe getting fired, Kyle Dubas, Brendan Shanahan. I don't know any better right now, but I would think that those guys will all be back next year, regardless of what happens against Florida.
100%. Yeah. Do you feel or like a sense of relief in the whole room as in general? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. In the room, yeah, I guess. But at the same time, today, they were saying, like, look, there's a relief, but that only lasts for about a day. And Luke Shen put it best. And it's kind of funny that, we were bouncing around the room today and talking to everybody, but Shen, of course, not having been through this the least last few years, but he was put in perspective, said, look, we enjoyed it for 24 hours. You move on. You hope now that the confidence that you get from going into the second round, that you get from finally winning the first round, you can take that into the second now. And I don't know if this. We'll see if something is going to coming off their shoulders when this game gets going tomorrow night. I think it will. Is there still pressure on the Leafs? Of course there is.
100%.
There will be until the end of time. It's different now than what it was 2 weeks ago. That's all there is to it because they've won something.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, these guys, we've talked many times, Terry, about the exit interviews and, the guys saying, it's got to change. It's got to be different. And just the attitude and the bravado of the guys. Last year, you said how pissed off they were. This year, getting past that first round, I know there's still the pressure there, but is the energy kind of higher than it would be? Because now it's a different vibe. Now you've gone past that first round. Now you're heading into that second round. And really, you're the betting favorite again against the Florida Panthers, which don't take them lightly by any stretch. But, I mean, you beat Tampa. It was supposed to be Boston. Now you're playing Florida. So I think the energy would be different. The vibe would be different. But, I mean, I know Matthews even said it on the ice after Game 6 that they really haven't won anything yet.
Well, they haven't.
No.
My previous comment, what they win the first round. But you know what? We'll see tomorrow night how the energy is different. But today, at practice, the way guys were after, you wouldn't have known if they had won the first round or not. It was just, which is good, I think.
Yep.
It's just a normal day at work. They were off yesterday, flew home from Tampa. Probably got some good sleep. I don't imagine they got a lot Saturday night, but they put in a good work day today, and there was nothing different about it. It looked normal and everything else. No one's celebrating anything by any stretch of imagination. But I think what's different now about this team, guys, is two things to me. A, they have matured. There's no doubt about that. I mean, we just look at what Austin Matthews did in Game 4. I'm going to throw the team on my back, get this game right, and that's what happened. I don't think we've seen that out of him really in the playoffs, not to that degree. And then the people they brought in, Kyle Dubas to right now has hit all the right buttons. And I'm two guys I'm talking about here, just on and off the ice as a whole, are Ryan O'Reilly and Luke Shen. Yes, McCabe has come in and done well, and Noel Achari and Matthew Nyes. But Shen and O'Reilly have really led the way. And there's just an attitude. Both have won in the past 2 or 3 years. All due respect to Jake Muzzin, it wasn't getting a guy who had won several years in the past. It's all very fresh for them. Even for O'Reilly, it's only 4 years that he won the Conn Smythe of St. Louis. So that's all fresh, and that is just kind of gone to the rest of the dressing room. Now, we're here on May 1st. Lots to come, you would hope, if you're a Leaf fan. But everything that you like right now is in place for that to happen. And those guys have been big in that. But like I said, I think the core is taking a real step here too.
Well, take me back to, obviously, the Leafs go and they lose Game 5. Mm-hmm. And every single pundit on TV, every single person across social media said, everyone said this team is different. This team is going to be this team is going to be that. And it's the same story. They couldn't close it out in Game 5. Obviously, we know they got it done in Game 6. But what was the mood like after that game? Were the guys still fully, we're going to get this done, same kind of energy? Or did it seem like, because we've noticed this before, guys kind of like shrinking violet sort of syndrome, or were they ready? They were just up for the task and they knew they were going to get it done.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they knew, because you don't know, but the resolve was there for sure. And that was evident after that game in Toronto a few nights ago, that they were going to go down and get this done. You don't know if it's going to happen or not, but they certainly had that attitude, guys. And again, that is important. And, Jamie, you mentioned earlier about the anger that they had at the end of last season. It's true. And, this time it wasn't anger or anything like that after that game, but it was just a resolve that we still have a job here to do. And we're going to go do it. There was nothing about if we don't get it done in Game 6, we'll come back Monday night in Toronto and do it in Game 7. That wasn't part of the thinking at all. So, yeah, they went and got it done. The game again. Another overtime victory, of course, and fitting that the captain scores the goal, given his history at the city and how he became a Maple Leaf. But there was just, like I said, a resolve there, and they went and got it done.
I wanted to get your take on how important it was for everybody to be patient in not only Leafs land, but management and players wise. Like we talk about, like I know Sidney Crosby had success fairly early on, but you look at teams like Tampa and you take a look at teams like Washington, where they stay patient for so long, but there's always that added pressure here in Toronto where the fan base always seems to try and push buttons upon Leafs, like the management in general, at being like, oh, you got to do this. You got to like fire these guys in order for us to be successful. But last year, like Kyle Dubas had a decision to make, and he was like, listen, I truly think that holding on to our core and not making any big moves is going to be really important for us because this team needs to learn. I just wanted to know, like, how important you think that was to the boys in the locker room, but also everybody around in Leafs Nation.
Well, I think obviously it was crucial. We see that now because, look who led the Leafs in scoring in that round. It was the people that we're talking about, right?
Yep.
The people that Sheldon Keefe, that Kyle Dubas did not touch as a group and send somebody out during the off season, earlier in the regular season. But as far as that outside noise goes, I can understand. And you know what? I think it's like this in a lot of other markets, especially the Canadian ones. We're just so immersed here in Toronto. It's what we see. But look, when you're going out in the first round year after year, you talk about the steps that teams need to make. 6 is a lot, right?
Yeah.
And guys, I don't even count. I've never really counted 2017 against Washington because
that was funny, man.
That was like us sneaking in.
You finish last, you go to the first round of the playoffs, you take Washington to 6 games, you win a couple in overtime, you do better than you're supposed to do. And to me, that was a good step. And, it's kind of, to me, it's like a five first rounds plus 1, if you will. And that's the plus 1. But anyway, so it happens when it keeps happening over and over again, you can see the impatience growing. And, Kyle Dubas, I give him credit in sticking with it because this is the team that he had built. But what I really give him credit for, guys, is the way that and again, nothing's been won, but the signs are good, is how he reshaped this team, starting February 17th in the deal for O'Reilly and Achari, and the people that he brought in. look at it and go, geez, this roster, you're telling me you're going to change 1/3 of it.
Yep.
And now this is the year you're going to put it all together in those final weeks and go win a first round. Well, that's exactly what happened. And as we've seen, like I can't stress enough. It's the last time I'll say it. There's a lot to be played here, but these things have all worked. I mean, Sam Lafferty's not in the lineup right now. Probably won't get in tomorrow, but he's a darn good fallback option if they need to go to him. And even Matthew Nyes. On February 9th, Kyle Dubas said to us, and here in Toronto, coming out of the All-Star break, someone asked him, and I said, look, I got to temper this. People don't come out of college and make an impact almost all the time. Not a significant one, not right away. He could next year, not right away. And he says, I want to temper that, meaning the expectations. Well,
yep.
Look what Nyes has done. He's totally succeeded. And, it's kind of hard to put your finger on because we had talked to, I think before he made his debut, Aston Reese had a good college career and a few other guys that did, saying to you, what's that adjustment like? And, nobody was doubting what he could possibly do, but it was, it's going to be an adjustment for him. Yeah. Well, his adjustment was 3 games at the end of the regular season, looked good in those. And as I tweeted the other day, it's a masterclass in getting your coach's trust when you're on the ice for 3 overtime goals against the 2-time Stanley Cup champion. It just on the road, all of them on the road. So, if you're excited about Nyes now, and people should be, look forward to next year too, when he's going to be a top 6 guy. He is now. He's not going to cost anything, and it's going to be a hell of a player for them under the salary cap. But so he's another guy that comes in. You say, okay, well, all of these moves that are made, they've all worked. Luke Shen, guys, if we're being honest, do you see him coming in though and saying, who's going to help Morgan Rielly get his game back on track? Luke Shen.
And the guy that we had all along.
Well, but you know what I mean? Like when they acquired Luke Shen, I thought, okay, that's a good deal. He's going to come in and be a depth guy. Do I think they're bringing him in to sit him on the bench? No, but do you see people moving in and out perhaps?
Yeah.
I would have thought so. It's not what happened. The guy's been great. Really good.
He's been absolutely stellar. And to rehash on Matthew Nyes, coming in, there was a lot of people that said this guy shouldn't get in. Experience over experiments was the banter that went around. I thought, give the kid an opportunity, give him a chance for the last 3 games, see what he can bring. And when he started doing stick lifts and making moves and battling along the boards and imposing his physical will, I said, this kid might have an opportunity. Then Bunting gets the suspension. Now he's looking at him. He's riding the first line with Austin Matthews. Yeah. So, and I mean, how long does that last? Who knows? But I mean, if he starts scoring and potting in a couple, or at least digging out the pucks a la Zach Hyman and getting guys like Tavares. Yeah, that's what he did for John Tavares. That's what we were looking for.
I think it was very important for him to come in and the coaches just be like, you go out there and play your game. Don't do anything to alter that. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's somebody that battles along the boards, and he's not afraid to. I think it was a really good choice.
And you know what? I just think too, the thing that's been a surprise to me is that, listen, I'm not taking anything away from college hockey or the Frozen Four or playing in the Frozen Four final in overtime. It's not the same.
No.
Even for the best players, it's not the same. It just isn't. And yet, we saw what Nyes has done. You're right, guys. Getting into those 3 games at the end of the regular season, he plays what's essentially is a playoff game against the Panthers because they're still fighting. The Tampa game might be a wash, and then he finishes by going to Madison Square Garden, where it's never easy to play hockey. So he got his feet wet, and here he is. And the Michael Bunting thing worked out. The Nyes can play. Bunting comes out last game, shot out of a cannon. He's not going anywhere now. He's in the lineup safely, and here we are.
Well, I mean, it just speaks to the fact too of stuff that we talked about, later in the season about moving guys into positions where they may excel a little bit more, like a Kerfoot on the 4th line, like a Bunting with an O'Reilly and a Chari, just a line that's going to probably piss a lot of guys off because they finish their checks, they grind along the wall. Both Achari and Bunting can chirp. I mean, Achari is more apt to drop the mitts, but Bunting showed that he will too with Corey Perry, that last game against Tampa before the playoffs. So, I mean, that is another mixture that you start to like. Now you're going up against, and we'll talk about it now, the Florida Panthers, and a team that really, the ref literally said to Racco Gudis, you can't sit on people like they're tables and chairs. Stop doing that. And then you have to Chuck.
He won't stop.
He won't. That's his game, is his MO. But same thing with Tkachuk. Tkachuk is going to be under your skin But what I like is the exact same thing we saw against Tampa. We have our own deterrent to that stuff, and it worked really well. Shen against Janot, he rendered a guy who was traded for 5 picks and a prospects useless.
Yeah.
After that, he made him look irrelevant. It was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. But everyone's talking about, well, Florida's going to bring the physicality. Well, Tampa brought that as well, and we were able to match that stride for stride. But the lineup that we saw today at practice, Terry, I don't know if that's what they're going to go with, but that spoke to a little bit more speed with Liljegren drawing in over Hall. And I want to ask the question because a lot of people want to know, is Liljegren in there because Hall is nicked up or because they have more faith in Liljegren over Hall right now?
Well, that's a faith issue. I mean, they couldn't keep running Justin Hall out there. 9 goals against at 5-on-5, 14 of the 20 goals against, overall when he was in the lineup against Tampa Bay. You know what? I can't remember the last time Sheldon Keefe ran a practice with a set group of lines and then something changed for the game the next day. Unless it's something that comes out of the blue, if a guy shows up sick for work tomorrow, that sort of thing, which no one's anticipating. So it looks like, and the other indicator was, so you got Liljegren on the pair with Giordano. Gustafsson was not on the second power play unit today at practice, which leads me to believe he's coming in again, i.e. you're going back to 12 and 6. And like you already mentioned, the fourth line of Aston Reese, Kampf, and Kerfoot seems set. So it's Lafferty on the outside looking in and Hall on the blue line. And and Liljegren, to his credit too, came in the other night and it took the growth that he had this year. You liked what he did in that game. Didn't look too nervous or anything. Got through it, and now there's a little bit of renewed confidence there in what he can do. But having said this, I don't think we've seen the end of Justin Hall either. The fact of the matter is, he's still a good penalty killer for the Leafs. Led them in that category in ice time all season, and we see the block shots and all that sort of thing. But he just was too disorganized when he had the puck on his stick, and it wasn't working. But this is guys. What are we always talking about too? The Leafs depth.
They have it. They have it in stage one.
Justin Hall is still in if they don't have depth.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
so
they have options.
But this is why you have it. This is why Kyle Dubas has built the team the way they have. So, yeah. So I think we'll see 12 and 6 tomorrow night, and with the setup that we saw today.
Now I want to ask the question here. I know we got about 5 minutes here left with you before you have to get going, but I want to ask the question about the Florida Panthers. What do you think that they bring that Tampa didn't? Obviously, they slayed the Boston Bruins. Obviously, the President's Trophy winners, all the hoopla surrounding them, how awesome they were in the regular season. They were supposed to go through the Panthers like a knife through hot butter. What do they bring that Tampa didn't that may stifle the Leafs? Okay. Well,
the first thing I would say is you mentioned Tanner Jeannot. Okay. Matthew Tkachuk isn't Tanner Jeannot. Tkachuk is I had him third on my heart ballot behind Connor McDavid and David Pastrnak. Okay.
Yeah.
After that series, I might want to flip 2 and 3. Number one is number one. We know that.
Yeah.
But Tkachuk is just a whole different person here and a whole different player. And when he is leading the way, like he did in that round, I mean, he was there. He led the Panthers in scoring. They're going to be a handful. The team, and you mentioned Radko Gudas earlier, Jamie. So you have 2 guys who play that way and get into your skin and that sort of thing. But Tkachuk, to me, the difference is he's a superstar that does it. He's a unique player. Because Connor McDavid doesn't play that way. Austin Matthews doesn't play that way. Marner doesn't. Pastrnak doesn't. Tkachuk's the only guy in the NHL that can do this. So keeping him away from Samsonov will be key. But what do they bring? I don't know. I think overall the Florida blue line's been a little more solid. The other thing that I think got them through or helped get them through is they finished the regular season quite strongly. I know they're still fighting at the end. I think they lost their last couple of games, but they've gone on a good winning streak before that. So they're coming in on a roll. Tampa Bay went into the playoffs all over the place. Yep. They couldn't get settled for whatever it was, for all the experience and everything they had. They just couldn't make it work. And I'm curious about the Panthers and the goaltending. Assume Bobrovsky starts. The Leafs, to me, right now have an edge in net, and Ilya Samsonov, just the way he's played.
Yep.
So there's that. But it's a curious thing for me. The other thing that the Panthers don't have, which in their favor I think could work, that Tampa did, is a little bit of heat on their shoulders. Talk about playing with house money. Panthers came into this as the 8th seed, the second wild card. They just knocked off one of the best team in NHL history in the regular season. I don't imagine Florida's feeling too much pressure. So the Leafs will have to combat that. The way they do it, play on your toes from the opening faceoff tomorrow night. Don't be on your heels. The Leafs are a better team, guys. Don't let Florida dictate. Take it to them. Get under the fort. Do all those things that you're supposed to do properly.
That's one of the things I've been saying about this Leafs team for a while, though, Terry, is we have that ability to roll at least 3 lines deep now down the center.
It's 4. Yeah, it's 4.
It's 4. You think fourth line? Well, yeah, I could see. Yeah, right now with Kerfoot on that fourth line, I would say that.
Yeah, for sure. So no, and you know what? You talk about the other thing about just going back to Nyes for a sec, moving up. So now you like I know you mentioned, but that allows a Kerfoot to move down, be a little more effective in that spot. Yarncroc will start in the top 6 tomorrow. I think Bunting works his way back into there at some point. He just brings too much of an offensive touch to not be in there. But for now, he's on that third line with Ryan O'Reilly, who's been excellent.
Which is not a terrible spot at all.
Not at all. So the third line is not your typical third line. It can put the puck in the net. 100%. Well, Chari's got a bit of that, but Bunting and O'Reilly have it, and so there's that depth issue. But yeah, the Leafs are some of the odds makers have the Leafs favored now to win the Stanley Cup. I say let's get through the second round first, but they are definitely the favorite going into it. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Terry. I know you got to get going, so thank you very much for giving us some of your time tonight. We'll look forward to talking to you throughout the playoffs, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Anytime. Always good to talk to you.
All right, cheers, Terry.
Yeah.
All right, so there he is, Terry Koshan. He was with us there for just a few moments going on, talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and of course, the Leafs and the Panthers coming up. Dylan, what did you take away from that? Obviously, it's cool to hear the words odds makers now have the Leafs in that position. I shared with you some insight from someone that is around our circle, who's been around Stanley Cup champions and worked with Stanley Cup champions, and says, this team has a little bit of that it rub on it right now. So it's a good feeling. But I like what a lot of people are saying too, Dylan, that the Leafs should not overlook the Florida Panthers. And I feel like we just had that message. I made that rant about John Cooper talking about we're going to Game 7. We'll see you here for Game 7. Well, no. You can't overlook anyone. It's the NHL. No. You're all here for a reason. But what did that talk with Terry reaffirm or maybe set you on your heels about?
I think when you look at Florida's roster, there's obviously the number one guy that stands out on the textbook in that roster every single night, and that's Mr. Tkachuk. Hurt, yeah. Him and his brother know how to play hockey. They know how to get under people's skin, and they know how to put the puck in the back of the net. They also know how to just play a different style of game than the other. I'm not going to say superstars, but the elites of the league. Like, there's nobody in the league that plays the way he does. I feel like Bobrovsky's kind of on a high right now, and like he's had his ups and his downs. I think Terry makes it pretty evident that like we have a deep squad, and I don't think that like the Leafs should like be beating themselves up about anything against this team. I think Florida pushed through with grit over anything, and they don't have anything holding on to their shoulders in a certain type of way. Like they beat Boston because of how they play, and Boston was so like they were on their heels. And I think if we stay on our toes and press, I don't think we'll have a problem.
Well, that harkens to what I just said, right? I mean, for me, I look at this and I say, the Toronto Maple Leafs for so long have had so much top-end talent that you have the ability to roll 4 lines. Like Terry just said, I said 3. Terry goes, no, 4. Yeah. And you look at it, you say, yeah, with Kerfoot on that 4th line, that's a formidable problem for other teams. David Kampf can win you draws. Zach Aston-Reese can muck it up. Kerfoot can fall down, but he can also skate really fast. Harken to what you always say about Kerfy. But I look at this and I say, look, we get what do good teams end up finding and have them in their roster?
It's great depth.
League minimum guys who
Yep.
can play with their top
And we
end
have,
players.
man,
Matthew Guys, come on down.
how
Callie
many times
Yarncrow, come on down.
how many times have we taken, like, as our in our group chat, have we looked at the former Leafs rosters and we're like, this team wasn't it? And we look at it now and it's like, this team is solid. They have the depth, they have the core, they have say somebody goes down on the blue line, they have people to come in when need be, and it's not a first line AHLer. Like that is something really good. I also want to make I don't know Florida's centerman off the top of my head, but I know it's Barkov and there he was a New York Ranger a few years ago. I forget his name. But anyways, I think that's something that we will excel in is the face-off percentage. Now watch, I'm going to be completely wrong in just saying that. But I think we really excel and we've excelled over it.
Here you go. Here's your centers for the Florida Panthers. Barkov, Bennett, Lundell, and a ageless wonder that is Eric Stahl.
Eric Stahl, you said? Eric Stahl? Yeah.
So those are
I 100% think
Stahl's the last guy.
I 100% think that we can win a lot of faceoffs in this series, and I think that's going to help drive the play a lot of this series.
Well,
like
possession metrics is huge, man. You know, because if you win the faceoff, you dictate the play. That's 100%. Usually the way that it goes.
But you watched those key faceoffs in our series wins. And that was the deal breaker. We won the faceoffs. That was the key. We won the faceoffs.
Well, how many set plays do the Maple Leafs now have off a faceoff that we scored on in the first round against Tampa? So those things are huge, absolutely huge. And let me just say one thing, okay? Because I've been pumping this guy's tires, saying that he's going to come back. He's going to be fired up in the playoffs. He'll be a different guy. And listen, playoff Morgan Rielly exists. When the Leafs won Game 6 before the Edmonton game happened, Morgan Rielly was tied for first among defensive scoring in the NHL playoffs. Hello. That's Morgan Rielly for you, baby. Let's go. Everybody's stepping up and being warriors. The other thing, Dylan, is our guys, doesn't matter what nameplate's on the back of the damn jersey, they are blocking shots and getting the job done. And doing all those little things. What I say to you and Pete down the stretch, what were the metrics that I was watching? Block shots, face-offs, and hits. Guess what? Toronto out-hit them, Toronto out-block shot them, and Toronto most nights was better on the dot. So those things, when I told you I was watching those down the stretch, those are key things in the playoffs.
Any series, if matter of fact. Like, man, I wish I almost asked this question, but like it's just nice in general. Like what he did and come into this lineup and physically has just like he is not taking any pressure on himself. Nope. Like he knows that the core four are the core four and they have a little bit more added pressure than what he does. He comes in and he's playing his freaking style of play. He came in and blocked a shot. I'm pretty sure from Stamkos or Hedman. I'm not 100% sure who it was, but that's just playoff type hockey, and that is the definition of a playoff hockey player that we needed in our lineup, and he has blown like our expectations of him. And I just think I was kind of hyping him up a little early, and I think it was kind of appropriate, man. Like he has been one of the difference makers in that series.
Listen, here's the thing. He knocks guys off the puck. He's not scared to be physical along the wall.
He took on how many people in the game winner in the corner? He took on 3.
And got the puck to Tavares and got the winning goal. So I'm looking at this and saying, hey, we have a team. Our friend T.O. Sports Fan, what's up, Div? That's for you, my buddy. I see a lot of people using it, but you started it, my friend. This team right here, Dylan, top to bottom, I like what they bring. I like the fact that we have depth. I mean, we have guys like Sam Lafferty sitting in the wings right now, not able to get on this roster because of what we have. And that's not to speak to guys that have come up and played on this wing. Hello, Pontus Holmberg, Not with this team right now. Guy who's played with the Leafs a lot of games. Bobby McMahon, another guy, big body, who's played with the Leafs, not with the squad right now. I'm saying Kyle Clifford, Wayne Simmons, go down the list. We have depth beyond depth. And then on the defensive side of things, you have Justin Hall, Gustafson sitting. Philip Kral's there. Connor Timmins is there. I haven't even got the Jordy Ben and the other guys.
Victor Mete.
Keep going. Mac Hollowell, who's played games for the Leafs this year. It's depth upon depth upon depth. Oh, and by the way, Matt Murray back with the team today in a full practice as well. May travel with the squad if they do go to Florida, if he's feeling well enough. So a little breaking news there. Not too shabby. But it will be Joe Woll still backing up. But even in that position, you have Samsonov, you have Woll, you have Murray, you have Shalgren. You have 4 guys who have played for you this season in the NHL in goal. The Leafs have depth in every single position for once. And so if one guy goes down, it's not the end of the world. If Matthews gets hurt, elevate Tavares and O'Reilly. If O'Reilly gets hurt, elevate Kerfoot. You have so many options now. It's nice to have. I don't want to see them being used, but it's nice to know that you have stopgap solutions if a guy needs to miss a game. Or, hey, heaven forbid, you're up 2-0 in the series and you want to give a guy a game off because he's nicked up bad. You know, he's got something really ailing him. Give him a game off. Let somebody else swing in. Maybe you get it done. But listen, I will not sit here in front of TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and everywhere else we are, wherever you're listening, and tell you I'm overlooking the Florida Panthers. They just knocked off the Boston Bruins. Yeah. They deserved all the respect in the world. The things that go through my mind, though, is they have an unsure goaltending situation. Bobrovsky looked good in the last couple of games, but you had to switch to him from Alex Lyon, and you only switched to Alex Lyon because Bobrovsky wasn't good. So what Bobrovsky shows up this playoff series, and do the Leafs get to tame the kitty one more time in Alex Lyon as well? Then you also look at the rest of the factoids here. You look at the complete roster. Okay, the Montours, the Gudas, the Ekblads, I get that. But then you look at the flip side of some guys that aren't top shelf. Mark Stahl is a slower type defenseman.
Mark Stahl, I watched that game, and Mark Stahl tends to make a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to point any fingers, but he does tend to make a lot of mistakes and try and make up for them. But that's just somebody that looked out to me. I watched that game, and I was excited, but damn, like, I like it was just something about them. They came up in the clutch, man. Like they
got the job done, but they need to get it done. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, like I don't think they have the depth that we have, but again, it's a Stanley Cup playoffs. Anything can happen. 100%. Like this is. I said this on Twitter. Like I would be shocked if anybody's bracket is perfect right now, but who knows? There might be somebody out there.
I will put my hand up and say the only one I've gotten wrong, I think, so far is the New York Islanders losing. I had them over the Canes.
You had Seattle coming out?
I had Seattle coming out. No, I picked the Avs. The Avs, sorry, in Seattle.
Yeah.
But
I had mine's completely messed up.
I definitely, in my bracket, I definitely picked the Florida Panthers over the Boston Bruins.
Just
because I said it right in my video. I said pure chaos because I want that to happen. I picked the Leafs over the Bolts. I wanted the Rangers to lose over the Devils in 7, which may just happen. Crazy.
I got Rangers in 7. I had Islanders. I had Boston. I had Toronto. I had Avs, Stars, Jets, and who's the last one?
Okay, let's do this one right quick. Okay, I'm going to say these names. Barkov, Tkachuk, Gudas, Ekblad, Montour, Reinhart, Bennett, Duclair, Verhaeghe, Lundell, or Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, O'Reilly, Riley, Achari, McCabe, go down the list, whoever you want. Bunting. I'm sorry. One of these things is not like the other. A lot of those top guys, they cancel each other out. But when you start going further down the lineup, I like the Leafs depth a lot more than I like Tampa or Florida's depth. But I will not sit here and say that it's going to be a hot knife through butter. This is going to be a grind. And I will say it to everyone. Focus on what's in front of you. I told you guys this every live I was with you guys. One step at a time.
100%. It's one game.
That's all you can do.
One damn game at a time.
Don't look ahead, because you know what happens when you look ahead? You get John Coopered.
You know what? You know what happens when Tampa looked ahead? They got effed twice. Hagel did it and Cooper did it.
Bam! Take that. Suck on that. Listen, I'm pumped up. Round 2 starts tomorrow. I don't care. I want to see what everybody's going to have going into their predictions for it. I don't have a score yet, but I will have one up, Dylan. I don't know if you're going live tomorrow or if you're working the night shift, my buddy, but we will keep you updated. So this week, ladies and gentlemen, I want to break down a little bit of things that may be happening on Offside Land. So we will have producer for the Jeff Merrick Show, Matt Marchese, coming on hopefully Wednesday night, as long as everything clears with his better half. So Matt Marchese will be coming through. Friday night, Leafs man extraordinaire Paul Hendrick coming on to talk about, hopefully on Friday or Sunday. Friday or Sunday, we'll see when he's available. But this week, you want to tune into Offside, because we're going to have it covered and ready from ticker to tape. Next week, we're hoping to have our boy David Alter on, spin some more yarns about the Maple Leafs. So this is the spot you want to be. The deeper the Leafs go, the more this show is going to grow, because we're going to have the fun people on to break it down, to have some fun, to do hits like tonight, like Terry Koshan did, who, by the way, right now is on national radio talking about the Maple Leafs, but we got the first insight with him there after practice. So you know what it is around here, Dylan. I super appreciate you always giving me the time to be on the show with me. I appreciate you and Pete. I said that to you last night. The show doesn't go without you guys, especially when I was away this year. So kudos to you. It sucks you're on nights, because it was so much fun to ride this ride together. But brother, thank you very much for everything.
Of course, anytime. The only thing that I think that matters going forward is that the Leafs clutch it up when I am watching. That's all I asked for the Leafs, because I know the game 3. I guess well, actually, no. If it's a game 7 and that is my time to watch it, don't do it. But if any other time, you can do that for me. Thank you.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this right here has been the preview for the Florida Panthers. Terry Koshan was on with us just a little earlier there. So, hey, Leafs Nation, you know what it is around here. We are getting fired up. It's go Leafs go. Hit the follow. But this right here is Offside Hockey Talk, where the Maple Leafs and hockey come to talk in round 2.